Subscribe to the channel and hear even more exciting stories. A stayover that turned into an unexpected revelation. Hey Reddit. Throwaway, because there's no way my real account survives the group chat if this gets out. For context, I'm Olivia, 29F, and up until 2 weeks ago, I thought I was the queen of easygoing friendships. The kind of person who could crash on anyone's couch, bring my own snacks, make awkward morning coffee small talk, and leave no drama behind. Spoiler. The universe had other plans. This story starts with what should have been a routine Friday night. My best friend Maya, 30F, invited me to stay over. Her boyfriend was out of town. I'd just gone through a messy situationship, and I needed a break from my shoebox apartment and the never-ending construction outside my window. Maya and I had known each other since freshman year. She was my ride or die, my text me when you get home girl, the first to hear my good news and my bad. Our sleepovers were legendary. Movies, face masks, wine, way too much pizza, and the kind of midnight conversations that only happen when you're tucked into a nest of blankets with someone who knows your whole history. Honestly, if you'd asked me then, I'd have said Maya's apartment was my safe zone. Sure, her place had always felt a little too tidy, and she'd gotten cagey about her phone recently, but I figured she was just stressed with work. There were a few odd moments. Her glancing at her bedroom door, low-key panicking if I reached for her laptop to play music, but I chalked it up to normal quirks. If I'd listened to my gut, and not the bottomless glass of Pinot Grigio, maybe I'd have noticed the tension sooner. But the truth is, I didn't want to. I needed the comfort, the normalcy. I didn't know that what started as a simple sleepover would upend everything I thought I knew about Maya, about friendship, and, if I'm being honest, about myself. So here's where things get weird. It's 1 a.m., and we're deep in one of those remember when spirals, halfway through a bottle of wine and already plotting out the rest of our lives in hypothetical what-ifs. Maya gets up to go to the bathroom, leaving her phone on the couch, unlocked, something she never does. Maybe I'm nosy, maybe I'm tipsy, but I notice a flurry of notifications lighting up her screen. Not texts, but a string of messages from a name I don't recognize, see, with a heart emoji. Now, I'm not the jealous type, and I definitely don't want to be that friend, but something in my stomach tightens. I remember how Maya had seemed off all night, laughing a beat too late, glancing at her phone every time it buzzed. I try to look away, but a preview pops up. Wish you were here. Last night was perfect. Miss you already. It's unmistakably romantic, and absolutely not from her boyfriend. Maya comes back, sees me looking at her phone, and freezes. For a split second, there's this raw panic in her eyes, a silent plea to let it go. But I can't. The air in the room shifts, the cozy cocoon of our sleepover replaced by something sharp and electric. I ask, gently, is everything okay? She says, too quickly, yeah, it's just work. Her hands tremble as she flips her phone over, screen down, like that'll erase what I saw. We try to go back to normal, but the mood is gone. Every laugh is forced, every conversation awkward. Eventually, she says she's tired and disappears into her room, leaving me alone on the couch with a brain racing in circles. Did I imagine it? Was it just an innocent message from a friend? But my gut screams that I've stumbled onto something big, something Maya never wanted me to know. That night, sleep is impossible. I replay everything in my head, every odd detail from the past few weeks. The way Maya's boyfriend called less, her nervous energy, the too perfect apartment. Suddenly, the puzzle pieces start clicking together, and it's clear, this isn't just a sleepover anymore. I'm in the middle of a secret that isn't mine, and nothing is ever going to feel simple again. I wish I could say I handled it with chill, but the reality was hours of spiraling under Maya's fuzzy throw blanket, my mind ping-ponging between disbelief and wild speculation. Every time a car passed outside, I jumped. Every little noise made me think Maya was about to come out and confess everything. But her door stayed closed. The apartment, usually our sanctuary, suddenly felt too clean, too curated, like I was an intruder at a crime scene. For a while, I tried to convince myself I'd misunderstood. Maybe C. Red Heart was just an old friend, a cousin, or one of those overly affectionate group chat nicknames. Maybe Maya's boyfriend was out of town too much, and she was lonely, and I had no right to judge. I told myself it was none of my business, but the knot in my chest said otherwise. The wine buzz wore off, replaced by a hangover of anxiety. I replayed the last few weeks. Her nervous laughs, sudden topic changes, the way she always seemed distracted on calls, how she dodged questions about her boyfriend. In the half-dark, I couldn't help but feel hurt. Not just for her boyfriend, who, honestly, I barely liked, but for me. How could Maya, my confidant, the one who always preached girl code, keep something this huge from me? My thoughts got messy. Am I a bad friend for snooping? For suspecting? For not immediately confronting her? I wanted to knock on her door and demand answers, but I was scared. Scared of what she'd say, scared I'd lose her trust, scared I'd lose the friendship altogether. By sunrise, my brain felt bruised. The city started waking up outside, but all I could think was how everything felt different. Not just between Maya and her boyfriend, but between Maya and me. Some lines, once crossed, can't be uncrossed. As much as I wanted to go back to movie nights and dumb jokes, I knew the only way out was through, and that meant facing a truth neither of us was ready for. Morning comes, and with it, the world's most awkward breakfast. Maya is already up, making French press coffee in her spotless kitchen, but her usual sleepy banter is nowhere to be found. The tension is thick enough to cut with a butter knife. I try to act normal, but my hands are shaking as I reach for a mug. She slides toast across the table, eyes fixed on her phone, and for a few painful minutes, we pretend nothing happened. But pretending isn't my strong suit. After 2 sips of coffee, I can't take it anymore. Maya, I saw the messages last night. My voice is small but steady. She freezes, toast halfway to her mouth, and her eyes go wide. There's a long, heavy pause. For a moment, I think she might lie or explode. Instead, she puts the toast down, pulls her knees to her chest, and lets out a shaky breath. It's not what you think, she starts, then immediately corrects herself. Actually, it is. I messed up. She tells me everything. How this C-red heart in her phone is someone she met through work, how the text started innocent but turned emotional, then physical. She knows it's wrong. She says she's been trying to end it, but every time she tries, she feels even more trapped. My heart breaks for her, but I'm also angry. Angry that she put me in this position, angry that I'm now part of her secret. I ask, does your boyfriend know? Are you going to tell him? Maya's eyes fill with tears. I don't know. I'm scared. I can't lose him, but I can't let go of C either. Her honesty is raw, and it hurts to see her so lost. But I can't ignore my own feelings. I tell her how betrayed I feel, not just for her boyfriend, but for myself. We promised we'd always be honest with each other, Maya. I feel like I don't even know you. She cries, apologizing over and over, but the words don't fix the sick feeling in my stomach. We sit there, side by side, both of us changed by what's been said. I wish I could hug her and make it all okay, but some truths don't have quick fixes. And as the morning sunlight creeps across the table, I realize that nothing about this friendship will ever be simple again. After that kitchen confession, I felt hollowed out, like all the air had left the apartment. Maya disappeared into the shower, maybe to cry, maybe to avoid me, maybe both. I cleaned up the breakfast plates on autopilot, but my mind was spinning in a dozen directions. There was no anger left, just this bruised ache in my chest. All the things we used to share, inside jokes, plans for the future, that automatic sense of comfort, felt awkward now. I couldn't stop replaying the night before, my hands reaching for her phone, the look on her face when she realized I'd seen everything, the way she'd folded in on herself with guilt and shame. I thought I knew what betrayal felt like, but this was different. It was betrayal with a side of responsibility. Now I was carrying her secret, too. For the rest of the weekend, everything was tense. We tiptoed around each other, avoiding eye contact, talking about anything except what actually mattered. I thought about her boyfriend, who would never see this side of Maya, never know how much she was struggling. I wondered if I owed him the truth, but the idea of detonating Maya's life made my stomach turn. I hated the situation. I hated that I was even in it. Worse, I started second-guessing myself. Was I a bad friend for not blowing up her life? For even considering telling him? Was I enabling her by staying silent? Or would I be betraying her by getting involved? The guilt and confusion twisted together until I felt like I was drowning. That night, I lay awake on the couch, wishing for the days when friendship meant movie marathons and comfort food. But I couldn't unknow what I knew, couldn't put the toothpaste back in the tube. I realized, maybe for the first time, that growing up sometimes means holding space for other people's pain, even when it hurts, even when you want to run. I wanted to believe Maya could fix things, but I also knew that, whatever happened next, our friendship was changed forever. Maya's confession changed more than just my view of her. It sent ripples through everything I thought I could trust. For the first time, I felt like a stranger in her perfectly curated apartment, tiptoeing around conversations and calculating every word. Sleepovers and spontaneous hangouts faded into awkward check-ins and hollow miss you texts. That easy rhythm was gone, replaced by a weird, aching tension. The real surprise was how much it bled into the rest of my life. I found myself doubting other friendships, replaying every "I'm fine" and "just tired" for hidden meaning. Did anyone really tell the truth? I started pulling back from group chats, skipping happy hours, finding excuses not to share much even with friends I'd always trusted. I was afraid to be the last to know, to be someone else's alibi for secrets I never agreed to keep. Maya noticed, of course. She reached out with apologies, offers to talk anytime. But there was always a catch. She never wanted to talk about that night, just everything else. She tried to patch things up with little gestures. Playlists, memes, even sending my favorite coffee to my door. I appreciated the effort, but it was like decorating a burned-down house. The foundation was gone. I started venting to my sister, who, bless her, listened without judgment but finally said, "Liv, you can't hold her secret forever. It'll eat you alive." She was right. I became jumpy, easily irritated, snappy at work, distracted even during things I used to enjoy. The weight of knowing too much settled in my bones. Other friendships grew tense. I caught myself hesitating before answering simple questions, wondering if I was supposed to protect someone else's secret, too. Trust felt fragile, conditional. Plans with Maya dried up almost completely. The space she'd once filled in my life shrank, replaced by a wary distance I hated but couldn't shake. The truth wasn't just a wedge between us. It was a crack running through every relationship I had, a reminder that closeness sometimes means knowing more than you want. And the hardest part? Realizing I couldn't fix it, no matter how much I wished I could go back. I hit my breaking point about a month after that night. Maya kept texting, wanting to meet up for something normal, brunch, a walk in the park, anything but real talk. I'd start typing a yes, then stop. The guilt gnawed at me. I missed our friendship, but every message felt loaded, like I was expected to play the supportive confidant and forget everything I knew. One evening, after a long day of snapping at coworkers and dodging invites, I realized I was exhausted by the secrecy, by my own silence, by pretending I was okay with carrying someone else's lie. I loved Maya, but I didn't like what our friendship had become. I couldn't keep tiptoeing around the truth or pretending her problem wasn't now my problem too. So I made a choice. I texted Maya, asking if we could talk, really talk. When we met at our usual cafe, it was different. I was nervous, but I pushed through it. I told her I needed honesty, not just about her relationship, but about ours. I told her I couldn't be her safe place if she kept me at arm's length from the hardest parts of her life. She started crying, again, but this time I held my ground. I explained that I wouldn't lie for her or keep secrets that made me feel complicit. I care about you, but I need boundaries. I won't out you, but I can't keep doing this. It hurts too much. She nodded, tearful and quiet, and for the first time I saw how lost she was, not just in the mess she'd made, but in the guilt she carried. The conversation was raw, but honest. I promised I'd be there for her as a friend, but not as a shield. I wouldn't cover for her, wouldn't encourage her to keep living two lives. If she wanted my support, it had to start with telling the truth. Even if it meant things fell apart. That night, I felt lighter. Not happy, far from it, but clear. I couldn't fix Maya's choices, but I could choose what I allowed into my own life. I set my line, and for the first time in weeks, I slept through the night. Sometimes loving someone means letting them feel the consequences of what they've done. Sometimes loving yourself means stepping back, even when it hurts. After that conversation, everything went quiet, almost eerily so. Maya and I stopped texting every day. There were no more "can you come over?" late-night calls, no inside jokes pinging between us at random hours. For the first time in years, The space between us felt like an actual wall, not just a pause between conversations. It hurt more than I'd expected, but it also felt necessary. Mutual friends noticed the shift. Some reached out, cautiously testing the waters. "Are you and Maya okay?" I kept my answers vague. "Just busy. You know how it is." Because I didn't want to turn her private mess into public drama. But it was clear things had changed. The invitations to group hangs came less often. At first, I missed the noise and the comfort of belonging. But then I realized how much emotional labor I'd been doing just to keep up the illusion that everything was fine. Maya eventually told her boyfriend the truth, or at least some version of it. I only knew because she texted to say, "It's over." He left. There was no exclamation point, no emoji, just the blunt fact of the consequence she'd been dreading. I felt a mix of sadness for her, relief for myself, and a weird gratitude that I hadn't been the one forced to shatter her world. She stopped reaching out after that. I think she needed distance to figure herself out, just like I did. The months that followed were strange and a little lonely. I filled my time with new things, yoga classes, more phone calls with my sister, long walks by myself. It was awkward to explain the sudden change in my life to acquaintances, and sometimes I felt like a ghost hovering at the edge of my own friend group. But gradually, I found comfort in the quiet. I realized how much of my happiness had depended on being needed by someone else. Now, I had to learn to be enough for myself. The fallout was messy, and there were days when I doubted my decision, wondered if I'd been too harsh or not supportive enough. But deep down, I knew I'd made the right choice. I'd protected my own boundaries, even if it meant stepping into uncertainty. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was space to start again. With time and distance, the messiness of that night started to settle into something I could actually look at without flinching. I realized I'd spent years thinking friendship meant always saying yes, always being available, always picking up the emotional slack when someone else fell apart. But real boundaries, actual self-respect, meant letting go when things crossed into territory that hurt me, too. I started noticing the subtle ways my own patterns had changed. I was slower to trust, sure, but also more careful about who I let in. I checked in with myself before saying yes out of habit. I learned to listen to my own discomfort instead of steamrolling over it for the sake of being the good friend. The old version of me would have kept the secret, carried the guilt, maybe even lied if asked. Now, I knew my limits. Losing Maya as a constant in my life stung. There were moments when I missed her so much it was almost physical. An inside joke left unsaid, a meme I wanted to send her, a memory that made me laugh and then ache. But there was also a relief in not having to carry her pain on top of my own. The air felt lighter, the silences less loaded. Sometimes I caught myself looking for signs that other friends were hiding things from me, and when I did, I'd force myself to stop, to trust a little more each time. I talked about all of this with my sister, who told me, "You can love people and still protect your peace." It stuck with me. I started seeing boundaries as an act of kindness. To myself, yes, but to others, too. It's better to be honest about what you can handle than to let resentment fester in the dark. Looking back, I don't blame Maya. I know how easy it is to make bad choices when you're scared or lonely or lost. But I also know I can't save anyone who isn't willing to face their own truth. I can only make sure that next time, I listen to my instincts and honor my own boundaries, no matter how much I care. It's wild to think that a simple sleepover could change the trajectory of a friendship and force me to confront so much about myself. If you're reading this entangled in someone else's secrets, here's what I wish I'd known sooner. You're not a bad friend for drawing boundaries. It's not betrayal to protect your own peace. Secrets have weight, and sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let someone carry their own. Listen to your gut. Even if it feels harsh in the moment, it'll save you so much pain down the road. Maya and I aren't what we were, but I don't regret how things unfolded. I learned that honesty and self-respect matter more than keeping the peace at any cost. You can love people and still let them go if it means saving yourself. Life after fallout is quieter, but it's real. It's a space where you get to decide what you're willing to carry and what you can finally, gently, set down.